Hey guys, sorry if I'm a little sweaty and out of breath. I just jogged this morning, but I wanted to do this quick video. I got this question a while back, but it had slipped my mind until now, so I thought today would be a good time to tackle the topic. So the title of today's video is tips on getting into the film industry without prior experience or going to film school. Now let me just give you some background on myself. I did go to film school, however prior to that I had little to no experience in the industry. A lot of what I knew prior to going into film school was all just kind of self-taught, but film school definitely set the foundation on just my motivation to learn and my motivation to work towards my goals. If film school is not an option for you, if you maybe already have a degree or you're in a different area of study and you want to break into the industry somehow, there are quite a few ways of going about this. And a lot of people will tell you that film school just isn't necessary to work in this industry, which is true for a lot of people. In my case, I wasn't from LA, I was from San Diego. I knew absolutely no one out here, so film school was great in starting that process of building a network. And for someone like me, I'm very introverted, so it's a lot more difficult for me to kind of reach out and meet a new person. But yeah, let's get into the topic. So obviously there's a lot of online resources that you can use to your advantage. YouTube, of course, has tons of tutorials on, just filmmaking in general, and it even goes into detail about different crew positions and how to do certain things. So what really sparked my interest in this is watching like the behind the scenes bonus content on DVDs and just kind of watching and seeing how certain shots were done or certain stunts were done, and that just really impressed me, and I just wanted to learn more about it, and then that kind of drove me into this passion of filmmaking. Everybody watches TV, everybody watches movies, but nobody really pays attention to the credits and sees what goes on behind the scenes. So one of the first things I recommend is watch a movie, watch a TV show, but watch the entire credit sequence. Get past the actors and the cast and the directors. Get down to the camera operators, the grips, the production coordinators. Just read those titles and look them up, get familiar with them, because these are going to be the people that you're going to be working with if you want to work in this industry. So each production works just like a business. You have a manager, you have a supervisor. It's just like a normal business that works kind of at a super fast pace, and once the job's done, you're unemployed and looking for the next one. But yeah, so YouTube in general, there's a lot of great resources. I like to follow Film Riot. They're more of a channel that teaches how to make short films, not necessarily working in the industry. Another good industry channel is Rocket Jump Film School. That's from Freddie Wong. They have great videos on different crew positions and what they do and how they work together with the production as a whole. Along those same lines, if you're someone that wants to get into directing or writing or something like that, make something of your own. The best learning experience is from doing. So if you make your own short films, if you have a friend with a business, make a commercial for them. Really anything, just jump right in and just experiment, really. That's how the early filmmakers did it. That's how current filmmakers do it. They just shoot something and experiment with them. Teach yourself how to edit that way. One of my big beliefs is that I think everybody knows how to edit. When you're watching a movie and everything's cut together great, you don't notice any errors. But as soon as something's off, you know immediately. So I think that people have this natural instinct of when things go wrong. So I think it's kind of instinctual. There's a lot of free programs out there. If you have a Mac, it comes with iMovie. If you have a PC, Windows Movie Maker. If you're computer savvy, just like some editing software. But another great way is to use a trial. I believe Premiere has a 30-day trial. But yeah, just really experiment. That's what I did kind of very early on. I just kind of experimented with a Handycam and Windows Movie Maker. But yeah, something else that you can look out for is there's hundreds of Facebook groups. There's groups for actors, there's groups for camera operators, directors of photography, there's groups for editors, there's group for background actors, sound department, there's group for art department. Just kind of do a broad search on Facebook and join some of those groups and see what kind of discussions are going on and what kind of jobs are available. There's groups for just hiring PAs, production assistants. So on the topic of production assistants, that's pretty much the entry points of getting into the industry other than doing an unpaid internship. So production assistant is kind of the all-around, just an extra set of hands on set. Normally their focus is taking care of the crew, making sure the crew and cast are taken care of outside of the immediate shooting area. So like making sure the production office is running functionally and whatnot, and making sure that the crew has everything that they need. So I started out as a production assistant. I worked as an office PA, I worked as art department PA. Some people are lucky to have contacts in the industry and they can kind of skip that step and go straight into like a producer's assistant, which is a little bit higher up, and they kind of get to skip that grunt work. But I think it's good. I think it's good to learn how to work with all departments and kind of figure out how the set runs. As a PA, for the most part, crews tend to be very helpful to PAs because they know that these are people that are newer to the industry, so everybody wants the production to go smoothly, whether you're a grip, whether you're a lighting guy, whether you're an art set dresser. So it's important to make sure that the PAs know what's going on and communicate efficiently in that sense. So watch these behind the scenes videos, watch these how-to videos on how to be a PA. Rocket Jump has a great video on how to be a PA, and really try to listen closely and learn that lingo. There's a very specific language on a film set that you'd be very surprised to hear. Sometimes it gets kind of dirty, sometimes it gets a little confusing. By learning the lingo, you'll be just that one step ahead of that person that's just fresh out of school or fresh out of high school. Some ways on getting that first PA job is the Facebook groups, of course. People post looking for a PA. There's also Craigslist. If you go under gigs, which is short-term jobs, and you look under the crew tab, you'll find PA gigs there. There's other sites like Mandy.com and Staff Me Up that I've used in the past, and to be honest, I haven't really gotten any bites off those sites despite how many I've sent out, and regardless of my experience too. I think it's just more of like a first come first serve basis, so you gotta constantly be checking. And some of those sites cost money, so I'd avoid the ones that cost money if your budget's tight. There's also a lot of filmmaker meetup events. If you're in LA, there's a bunch of filmmaker meetup events that you can network with people and just kind of express your interest in saying like, hey, like I'm new, I'd love to help you guys out on set. If you're in a city where film isn't that big, like in the Midwest or places kind of far away from a major city, then you might have to be the one to create the group yourself, or there might be like a small film festival in the area, and that's a great way to network. And on the topic of film festivals, that's where I got my first real industry internship, and I met a bunch of people there. It was really intimidating, but it's what led me to where I am today. So film festivals are a great place to network and kind of get yourself out there. If you're coming from another industry and you don't necessarily have any filmmaking experience, with your resume, I would try to cater it towards something that a producer would find appealing. So stress your computer skills. Office PAs often work with Microsoft Word, Excel, PDFs, so you just gotta really know your Microsoft Office programs and your Adobe programs as well. So if you come from a computer background, you have an edge up there. And then also they really look for kind of multitasking and management skills if you have that background, really showing that you're able to juggle multiple tasks. And when you go to these film festivals or meetups, they're a great place to kind of find that first mentor that will kind of help guide you through the industry. That's what I did at the LA Asian Pacific Film Festival. Through them, I was able to find somebody that kind of just saw my potential. And it's a give and take too. So like, if you find this mentor, express your interest and just kind of show your willingness to learn and really kind of make yourself available. Don't skip class or anything if you're in school, but try to offer up any free time that you have. Like in my case, I would wrap up class and I'd be prepared. I'd have like a change of clothes in the car or something. I'll have like if I needed to get out of class and head straight to a set, I would do that. And even if it was unpaid, and that's another thing, a lot of your first gigs might be unpaid, but a part of that is knowing when not to take a job. So like if you feel like you're being taken advantage of, that's something you definitely want to avoid. If you feel like one party is getting more out of your help than what you're getting back, you're probably getting taken advantage of. Just really kind of be aware, protect yourself. If you find yourself in someone's office just doing dishes all day and not really doing related work, or if you find yourself just getting coffee all day and you're not really learning anything, you're probably being taken advantage of. So just be aware of that, and companies are aware of that too. Production companies have been sued by interns, and it's becoming more and more common. It's actually harder to find internships nowadays because of that hesitance. So if you're not a student, they might not want to hire you because of that liability. So that's pretty much the end of my notes. I'm sure I have more up here somewhere. Oh, one quick tip when going onto your first film set is to have a notebook, something small that you can fit in your pocket, something handy dandy. I carried a notebook for the first 2 years working on set and just wrote down everything. And then I would suggest the notebook over using your cell phone for notes, because the last thing you want is a producer just seeing you typing on your phone. Even if you're doing something productive, they hate seeing this, and this can determine whether you're hired on the next project or not. So write down on a notebook. That shows more initiative and diligence in that sense. And then I guess this is a good time to give my memory tips. So a lot of times you'll be instructed and given multiple directions at one time. So it might be hard to remember multiple things. So of course writing it down is going to be the best way to memorize something, but I believe the human mind is best at memorizing things in sets of 3. So if you think about it, your phone number is set up in a group of 3. The area code, the first 3 numbers, and the last 4 numbers. As soon as you go beyond memorizing 3 things, 3 tasks, it starts to get exponentially more difficult to remember. So if I'm given a task and it's 3 things, I'm pretty confident that I'll remember. But as soon as I get to the 5th thing or the 6th thing, I know I'm probably going to forget one thing. So at that point, I make sure to write things down and I never forget a task. Oh, in that notebook, if you hear certain lingo that you're not familiar with, write it down, go home, look it up later, or ask somebody on set what that means. But yeah, get out there, have fun. These are just a couple of quick tips. And filmmaking is supposed to be fun. It's a creative process, regardless of what crew position you are. If you're a PA, find a creative way of doing your job. Find the most efficient way. Your success is going to be based on how hard you want to work, of course. So the more you put into it, the more you'll get back. Anyways, thanks for watching. If I think of some more tips in the future, I'll do a part 2. Or I'll kind of scatter them throughout my videos. But thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and I hope you guys enjoyed. So see you next time. Maybe I'll see you on set, maybe I'll see you in the supermarket, or maybe I'll see your name in the end credits of Fast and the Furious 22. Race to Witch Mountain.